Hello everyone, welcome back to Silas Podcast, or welcome to Silas Podcast, welcome to cozy video number, I think 3 at this point, because we stay cozy. It is the end of December, we stay cozy. If you see me outside of my mittens and my nice keffiyeh that is incredibly warm around my neck, no you didn't, in fact, so that's it. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about some more specific reading goals for 2025, and actually just talk about some books that I am very much looking forward to reading in the year of 2025, as well as create my own reading challenge again, because Storygraph is really wonderful with reading challenges. So, I have my phone here as well because I need to check on some of the challenges that I'm still doing for Storygraph. And how we're doing there. So generally speaking, I love to join 2 of the 3 reading challenges that Storygraph does every year, which are Reading Around the World and the so-called onboarding challenge of each year. With the onboarding challenge, you basically get to look at some of the functions that Storygraph has. It's a really nice way to learn about those functions as well. Like for instance, this year we have 5 prompts as per usual. The first one is read a book in your least read genre, where the description teaches you how you can look up your least read genre on Storygraph. We have read a book published between 2010 and 2020 that fits your reader profile but excludes your most read genre, so you get to find out those funny details. We have read a book chosen by the random pick generator found in Up Next suggestions, which basically means you go to your TBR pile and then you let a randomizer decide what you're supposed to be reading. Fun. Then read a book from the Similar Users Loved Recommendations segment, which you can find on the Communities tab on Storygraph. And finally, read a book from the TBR of someone you follow. Again, I will be leaving the 2 Storygraph challenges down below. They're really fun to join. They usually don't have that many prompts, because the second one, as I said, that I'm joining is Reading Around the World, which has 10 prompts, and so Storygraph picks 10 countries that they want to read something from, and you get to add your books there. This year we have Australia, Belgium, China, Egypt, Iceland, Kenya, Malaysia, Mexico, the Netherlands, and the Philippines. I usually, with challenges like these, I leave myself some time to decide on what books I actually want to put there. I only have a few filled out for the Reading Around the World challenge from Storygraph. I have my pick for Belgium, which is a book translated into German called Kellerkind. Translated, you would probably call it Basement Child? Listen, don't worry about it. A friend of mine recommended this to me. Unfortunately, I don't think there is an English translation, so for everyone looking for recommendations for the Belgian part, oops. Anyway, for Iceland, I have Shadows of the Short Days by, what's his name? Oh god. Alexander Den Williamson. This was recommended to me by a friend and I have an ebook copy of it. It's fantasy and it's like urban fantasy, I think. It's set in Reykjavik, which is the capital city of Iceland, and I'm very excited for it actually because he really loved it and I like to see what my friends like and whether or not I enjoy it too. For Mexico, I am considering reading Gods of Jade and Shadow by Silvia Moreno Garcia, because I think it's the only one of hers I own that I haven't read yet, and it would be part of my ebook pile situation, which if you've watched my previous video, you know that I want to reduce my ebook TBR as well, because I tend to neglect that one. But I don't know yet. I'll see if I find something else that I really want to read from a Mexican author, otherwise I'm taking that one. And finally, we have the Philippines, for which I have a pick. It is right here, if I can find it. It is Sawala Nothing to Lose by Renlen Galeno. I picked this up when I was in the Philippines for 2 months, which was really great. This is published under Comiket, which is an indie comic publisher based in the Philippines itself. And this is about a man who picks up a chicken for cockfights. Except the chicken gets a taste for blood and then starts murdering people. That's all I know about it. I'm super excited. It's very pretty. So, this is my pick for the Philippines because I really want to get to the comics I got myself while I was there. Right. So that's that out of the way. Again, I leave these challenges pretty open for myself, so I've also joined the Trans Reading Challenge Year 2, so there's a lot of challenges and prompts surrounding trans people. Like, for example, the first one that I'm seeing right now is a book with a trans boy slash man main character, but there's also stuff like a memoir by a trans person, a poetry collection by a trans author, etc., etc. So there's a lot of prompts surrounding transness specifically, and I want to see how many I can get to without having to buy an extensive amount of books. That's always the goal for me with challenges like that. Then there's a few that are still ongoing, but one of them is kind of important, which is the r/fantasy bingo of 2024. In case you don't know, the r/fantasy bingo always goes from the 1st of April of the previous year to the 31st of March of the next year. So this one is running from the 1st of April 2024 all the way to the 31st of March 2025. So I do still have 3 whole months to read some of the books I still have not, because I have finished 17 out of 25 prompts, in case you want to know. And some of the books that I still want to read for this is, for Romantasy, I still have The Flowered Blade, which I have an e-arc copy of, because I had the e-arc when it came out and then I didn't read it. Oops. For Dark Academia, I have Vita Nostra, because I really want to get to it. I think I have a physical copy of it somewhere. Nope. Yes. There it is. Vita Nostra. Yay! So I really want to read Vita Nostra for the Dark Academia prompt. And then for Published in the 1990s, I want to read Ammonite by Nicola Griffith, because the hard mode is that the author has to have published something in the last 5 years, which she did. That's great. For Orcs, Trolls and Goblins, Oh My, a book featuring orcs, trolls and goblins with the main character being one, I still want to read The Unspoken Name by A.K. Larkwood, because if I understand this correctly, the main character is in fact an orc, so that would be lovely. For space opera, I put Some Desperate Glory. I'm pretty sure I read a space opera sometime this year, and so, you know, there's that. But, in all fairness, I didn't register it as such, so it's still Some Desperate Glory by Emily Tesh. And finally, Eldritch Creature, with the hard mode of it not being related to the Cthulhu mythos. I've been told by a friend who's read this that, God, it's so heavy, House of Leaves would count as that, because technically the house is an eldritch creature or something. She didn't really tell me a whole lot else because she didn't want me to get spoiled. So the only thing I know about this book is that it is insanely heavy. And also very complicated, but I really want to get to it, and I am trying to make this a priority of 2025 because I'm very excited. Scared, but excited. So there's that. So those are some books that I'm carrying over. Technically, I wanted to try and read some of these earlier, but also, for instance, like Sawala Nothing to Lose is specifically for 2025. When it comes to other priorities, something that I really want to get to in some capacity is The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, which is the first book in the Dandelion Dynasty. I have the first 2, and I would like to read the entire dynasty next year. I know that they're long books, so nice, but I'm really excited to get to them because a friend of mine who usually is very good when it comes to divining my reading taste, Sarah, hi, has said that these are probably going to be very good for me. So I would like a treat, please, and I hope that this is my treat. So there's that. Apart from that, there's not really anything that I like super specifically want to get to next year, apart from a pile I will be talking about closer to the end of January, so stay tuned for that, I suppose. So now it is time to pull some reading tabs. Basically, I got these reading TBR cards from Illumicrate a while back. I think it's been over a year since I've got them. They are tiny little cards that basically have some prompts on them, some a bit more specific than others. Like, for example, the first 2 I see here is a science fiction book, and the oldest book in your TBR, so we have styles like that. They look really nice on the back as well, and what I usually do is I pull 12 from these and then I try to fulfill them in some way, capacity, shape or form, because I personally think that setting yourself a goal to read 12 books a year is honestly pretty good. I feel like a lot of people can get something out of this. Once I've created the challenge, I will also be linking it down below in case anyone is on Stograph and would like to join me. I love it when people join me for my reading challenges. Also, since I create it myself and I make the rules, I don't care if you double up. Hell, quadruple up if you have to. If there's a book that fits 4 of these prompts, just do it. Okay, we don't have time for this. If you think that you can manage 2 books a year, just use 1 for 6 prompts. I don't care. This is just to get you to have a little bit of fun with reading, not to stress you out. If you think 12 books is too much, then it's too much, and that's fine. Alright, so I'm gonna take some out here. So let's just pull some. 1, 2, oh, the pink one. 3, 4, I think it's 5. Okay, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oops, and 12. Okay, I might not immediately choose books for these, so I will decide how I feel about them. Alright, here's our cards. So, big reveal. First up we have the longest book on your TBR. Okay, alright, I'm gonna have to have a look around and see which one that might be. Next up, a book in a format you wouldn't usually read. I tend to take audiobooks for this because that is still my least format, like least consumed format, I suppose, so I guess that's settled. What audiobook? Oh, I'll figure it out. There's a lot of audiobooks on my Libby TBR. Don't worry about it. I'll find one. That's a threat. Next one. You can read it first. A book you've been wanting to reread. I get a treat with this one. That's so nice. I don't know which one I'll take for that, but I'll take it. Thank you very much, TBR game. Ooh, this one I got to read first. A book by a debut author. Debut. I never know how to pronounce that in English. Doesn't matter. That one. Alright. So either I'm going to use that for a 2025 debut, because I'm pretty sure I'll find some on my list, or I'm going to use that for someone who, you know, hasn't had any other books come out since. What we have here? A book with a colour in the title. Ooh, fun. Okay. Alright. This one I get to read first again. A book with natural elements on the cover. Okay. We have some interesting ones here. Alright, you first. Let's see. The shortest book on your TBR. Okay, you know what? Switching it up is nice. I love that. Honestly, that's very funny. I didn't expect both of these to be pulled. Okay, a book outside of your comfort zone. I struggle with this one a lot because I'm always over here like, what even is my comfort zone? But I might take a non-fiction one for this because I don't tend to read non-fiction books straight up. I tend to read 1 chapter for research purposes at university and then we're done. So, alright, you get to read it first. What do we have? A book you never finished. Okay. Alright. I'll find one. I'll find one. Alright, next one. Ooh, this one is a super easy one. A book by a queer author. Yay! So I get to do something with that. That's fun. I love it when these cards give me something where I'm like, oh, this is easy. I could potentially do like 15 books for this one. We love that. Alright, next. A book featuring your favorite trope. Again, what is my favorite trope? I don't know my tastes. Come on, don't be so hard on me. That's so rude. And last but not least, this was actually the first card I pulled. We have a book that has been adapted into a movie or a TV show. Ooh, fun. Okay. Alright, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk around a little bit in my room and find some books that fit these, and then we will see where we're at. We are back. Alright, so first things first, let's grab these. I've decided that the 2 cards I'm not going to immediately be assigning to anything are book featuring your favorite trope and book in a format you wouldn't normally read, because I don't know my favorite trope, and I'm gonna choose an audiobook, and the audiobook is going to be... That's about as many executive decisions as I can make in a day, alright. But for the other 10 ones, we have chosen some books, and I've chosen only physical ones simply because physical TBR is still a thing, so let's get into it, shall we? There is absolutely no rhyme or reason to this. This is just how I've piled them in my lap, because there's 10 books in my lap. They've ended up in here somehow. So, first of all, we have a book with a colour in the title, and I have gone for A Silver Thread of Madness by Jessica Amanda Salmonson. This is part of a book pile that I've acquired over the year, where I've tried to buy sci-fi fantasy books written by female authors 90s and later. So I know very little about this. It says, enter the exotic, violent, macabre world of acclaimed author Jessica Amanda Salmonson. A world where all reality hangs by a silver thread of madness, where a half-witted genius, abandoned at birth, searches for his past identity and collides with his terrifying destiny. Where a young girl's obsession for samurai movies becomes the ultimate ticket to death, and where demons dance with saints while sanity falls prey to a woman's sword. It sounds fantastic, what can I tell you? I know nothing about this, it's very short, it is... Well, actually it's not that short, the pages are just tiny, it's like 180 pages, give or take, so... Hooray! That's a wonderful pick. Where do I put these now? I'm gonna put them over there, and I'm gonna pray that nothing happens to them. Wonderful! Okay, so next one we have a book by a debut author. Now this did take me a little bit of googling, but from what I can tell, E.J. Beaton, the author of The Counselor, has not written a book previously to The Counselor. She has written poetry collections, and she starred in poetry collections in Australia, which is where she's from, if I understood that correctly. But this is her first novel, from everything I can tell. And since this is on my 12 books by 12 friends list, a very loose list, mind you, I have a lot of friends, and some of them had more than one pick, and that's completely fine by me. I've decided that this is as good as any a pick for debut novel, so she's so bright and orange, I love it. So this is the debut novel pick. So far nothing has happened. Right, a book you never finished. So this is obviously a little bit of a tricky one, because more often than not at this point when I don't finish books, it's because I don't want to, quite frankly. But I've had this, ironically, because I pulled the same card for my TBR for 2024, and I did not finish it then. But I've had this book on there for the first time, so let's give it a round two. This is Blutstolz by Evie Manieri. This is an originally Italian fantasy book. The title would translate to Blood Pride. She's a bit thick. I never finished her the first time I picked her up. I'm pretty sure I got like 100 pages in max, and I'm pretty sure she is over 500. Let's have a quick look. Almost, actually. Okay, so she's scratching the 500 page mark. I'm gonna finish it this year. If it's the last thing I do, because I'll unhaul it afterwards, I'm fine with that, but please, Evie Manieri, let's get along. Thank you. My plan for this one has never worked out, so here's to hoping. I didn't know this card would come up and haunt me again, but here we are. This is what I get for pulling cards. Right, so the next two belong together, and the cards respectively are a book you've been wanting to reread and a book by a queer author. So we are going, and I'm so excited for this, we are going with Iron Widow as a reread, because of course, and look at her, she's so pretty. Heavenly Tyrant as a book by a queer author. I am so excited to get to Heavenly Tyrant. I don't remember a whole lot about Iron Widow, like details. I don't remember a lot of details. I remember the general storyline. I'm excited to revisit it, but I don't remember a whole lot of details, so I'm very excited for my reread. This does mean that I will be pushing my reread into 2025, because it was too good to be true, alright? That's 2 prompts done with 2 books that I'm anticipating enjoying a whole lot. So, yay! I'm very happy when my books are nice to me. Oh, well, not my books, my pulls. I think this makes up for the Eva Manieri situation, you know? I think maybe, maybe the cards were like, she deserves this. Look at them. Ah, they're so pretty. They're also so vibrant. I love it. Alright, putting you over there. Don't fall. Okay, so, let's do the next two picks more or less together because they kind of belong together in a way. Because I made that. Okay, so we have the shortest book in your TBR. Now, with the shortest and the longest one respectively, I'm not too fussed about it. I don't want to go onto my Storygraph and like filter by short, long reads. You can do that, by the way. If you go to your to be read pile, you can filter it for amount of page numbers, basically. I don't want to do that because I don't want to take it this seriously. This is just for fun. This is to get me to read 12 books off my TBR. That's the goal. And if we achieve that goal by doing something like, this looks like the thinnest book I have, let's go for it, then we do that, okay? Just for anyone wondering. So the one I picked for this is Against Techno-Ableism, Rethinking Who Needs Improvement by Ashley Hsu. I hauled this recently. It was one of the last books I got for myself in December, and it's a non-fiction book by a disabled person about disability and technology and how technology is often created with the excuse of it serving disabled people while in actuality not really doing anything for disabled people, and how we need more inclusivity on the creating process as well, because we don't need intentions, we need actual creations that serve disabled people and not creations that proclaim to serve disabled people and in fact make situations only worse. So I'm very excited to get to this actually, and it is very short. It has 130 pages without the notes, so I think it's fine. And then because they kind of belong together, so I'm doing them one after the other. A book outside of your comfort zone. I did say that I wanted to put a non-fiction here, and I think the non-fiction I currently have in my room that is the most out of my comfort zone, as in I am hell of intimidated to start it, is Orientalism by Edward Said, and I cannot talk anymore. The reason I'm so intimidated by this is because I've read a short part of his book on imperialism, and it took me approximately 10 minutes to understand a paragraph. So I'm scared, but very excited. And it's also a lot thicker than the book Against Techno-Ableism. Like, it has 354, which doesn't sound like a whole lot to some people, especially not with the long books that I usually read, but this is non-fiction, and also Edward Said had a very, very big brain, and I don't. So this is outside of my comfort zone, as outside as we can get, and I personally think that should count. So 2025 is where Scylla reads Orientalism, if it is the last thing she does. Thank you very much for listening. Right, we have three books left. So let's get to them in quick succession. So first off, we have a book with natural elements on the cover, and I'm going with Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is one of the 2 Adrian Tchaikovsky books I currently own that I haven't read yet. I personally think a planet and the sun and also stars count as natural elements. If anyone wants to debate me in the comments, you can, but I'm right. So I want to read Adrian Tchaikovsky. Let me have this, okay? This is the first book in a trilogy, as far as I know. The other one I have is the first one in a series of 10 books. I don't want to pick that one up yet. I want to read this one. So, a planet. It counts. Leave me alone. See, this is what I mean when I say I don't take these challenges seriously. I use them to get rid of some books on my TBR and to finally pick them up and have the motivation to do so. That's all we're doing here, alright? Moving on. A book that has been adapted into a TV series or movie, and I'm going to go with my copy of The Three-Body Problem. This is the German translation, and I have been meaning to get to this for a while. A friend of mine, Steph, started a, like, buddy read situation in her Discord, which I will be linking down below if I have the link. I don't know if I have the link, but you should check out Steph anyway. I'm going to be linking her down below. And so I think the collective chat has been on book 3 for a while now, except for me. because I never picked up the first one. So we're gonna do it this year, or well, in 2025. So that's a promise to myself. Once more, I'm threatening myself here, okay? Not you guys. You can do whatever you want. I, on the other hand, no, I'm joking. I don't take myself that seriously. Probably that's probably why we're struggling so much. Anyway, last but certainly not least of the books I've already picked, we have the longest book on your TBR. As with the shortest book, I'm not too fussed about it. Technically, I would have to use Knights of Wind and Truth for this, because we are going to be reading the last book of the first Stormlight Archive arc in 2025. I am not looking forward to it. We've had 4 discussions at this point, one of which has been on my channel. I believe Knights of Wind and Truth is going to be on my channel. Oh no, I'm so tired. Technically, I'd have to put this on there, because I'm pretty sure it is one of the longest, like, consecutive... conclusive, is that the right word? I don't know. The longest book I will be holding in my hands is going to be Knights of Wind and Truth, apart from compilations of, like, trilogies or something. But I don't want Brandon Sanderson on my reading goal anywhere, so no. Instead, I've gone with one that I've had for a while as well, and that is legitimately the longest one from that specific pile in my room that I could get my hands on, which is Middlemarch by George Eliot. This is sitting at a cozy 930 pages, I believe. Let me have a very quick look. Well, 920, but I was close. So this is over 900 pages. She's thick. Even in the, like, very thin-paged Penguin English Library Edition, this boy is a chonker. So I'm very excited to get to it, because I've been meaning to read Middlemarch for a while now as well. I think I bought this in 2023. So, anyway, so I chose this for longest book on the TBR because it was the longest book that I could find in my room that I had not read yet. I think some of the later Dandelion Dynasty books, for example, are, because I think the last one is over 1,000 pages, so I do think that they are in the same realm, if not longer, than Middlemarch, but I don't have them yet, so I think Middlemarch is going to be just fine here. I did actually check out if my copy of Brother Karamazov was longer. It's not, shockingly enough. It is under 900 pages. So I don't know what George Eliot was smoking with this one, but I'm gonna find out in 2025, because we're going to be reading all of that. I am very excited. I have a lot of classics on my shelf, technically pile, that I still want to read, and you know, eliminating some of the bigger ones is probably a good way to go. Anyway, that was a very large pile of books. As I said, do not fall. As I said, these two, the format thing and the favorite trope thing, are two that I will be leaving open for myself. I'm going to be creating the Storygraph challenge now. I'm going to be putting that in the description box down below, so if you want to join and you're on Storygraph, you absolutely can. As you've seen, I don't take it seriously. You shouldn't take it seriously. This is genuinely just if you feel like a challenge would help you get to some of your TBR books, or some of the books that you have been meaning to read for a while now that you for some reason are so afraid to start because for some reason you think that if you enjoy something you can't start it. I'm not judging, I'm the exact same way, but I'm just saying if you need a challenge that is going to be a little bit of a wake-up call for you, I'm happy to provide that. If not, there's a whole lot of challenges on Storygraph. As I've said at the beginning of the video, there's always something about reading around the world, reading certain genres, getting yourself comfortable with Storygraph functions. There's a lot of reading challenges on Storygraph. You can also make your own. It's super easy to access. If you have any trouble and you know me personally, I'm very happy to help. And I'm excited to see if you guys have any goals for 2025, any specific goals that is, apart from I would like to not have so many books on my TBR, which is not going to happen for me personally, because I will just keep adding books and buying books. I know that for myself. Buying bans don't work on me, because I know the person who enforces these rules, and she is a piece of shit, so I don't listen to her. Anyway, I hope that you have a nice reading experience yourself, that you will keep having a nice reading experience in 2025, and that if you want to join some reading challenges, you'll find some that are just right for you. And I will see you soon, probably in the next year.